So to all the fans of this franchise out there, does this ring a bell? Reader beware, you're in for a scare. Ugh, even saying that brings my childhood rushing back to me. Problem is, the crew of this film seem to completely forget that slogan. Goosebumps movie review. So as the 90s kids amongst you will remember, Goosebumps was the child horror book series by R.L.Stine that was literally a phenomenon. 400 million copies sold, great stories, each one different from the last. So when this movie was announced, I was really looking forward to it. And now that it's here, it wasn't quite what I hoped for. The plot summary, it's exactly what you've already seen from the trailer. Big city kid moves into small suburban white picket fence town. His neighbour is R.L.Stine and his daughter, who he has a little throwaway romantic affair with. He hears noise coming from the neighbour's house at night, breaks in, he wants to find out what's happening, monsters get out, and the whole movie is spent both running away from them and trying to get the monsters back in the books. The end. That's it. Nothing more. Now the premise of the movie wasn't actually that bad. It had a kind of a Jumanji feel to it. Or at least, it tried to. I mean, the positives are, for the fans out there, the spin they were putting on this by having all the monsters in one movie, which, no mean feat if you consider how many books R.L.Stine wrote. They actually chose the main monsters really well. Slappy, the living dummy from Night of the Living Dummy. You've got the abominable snowman of Pasadena. My personal favourite, the werewolf of Fever Swamp. They all play leading roles. The problem is, if you've seen the trailer, you know that already. You know the werewolf's there. You know the abominable snowman is there. You know Slappy's there. You know the gnomes are there. There's nothing really new in it. They make an effort to throw more and more monsters into the fray. At one stage you've got a kind of Avengers style sweeping shot of all of the monsters lined up. And for fans of the book, there's one particular monster cameo, kind of cameo at the end, which brought a smile to my face. But the problem is, the way they actually introduce the monsters beyond the aforementioned werewolf, snowman and Slappy, they're just there. They're not introduced. You don't know who these monsters are. And I defy even the most hardcore fan to be able to tell me who each of these monsters are. In the end, they end up just being generic throwaway monsters without any identity. So without any fan association that you may have had from the books, you won't get that in this movie. And that's wrong, because R.L.Stine came up with some genuinely spooky, sometimes even really scary monsters, and making them sort of B-movie and generic doesn't pay the right tribute to the monsters that he created. The main issue with this movie is that they made it a comedy, and a fucking bad one at that. Other than a single scene where they compare R.L.Stine to Stephen King and that gets Stine angry, which was funny because that was always the argument back in the day, but beyond that, there are no jokes. There's nothing funny. Literally, in the cinema, you could have heard crickets going eek, 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 eek. No laughs in the entire auditorium. Jack Black, who I believe to be a good actor, really just didn't bother. He did not bring it to this role. And his British accent, fuck me, it was bad. And let's not even get into the supporting cast. Beyond the main two protagonists and Jack Black, I mean the supporting cast are painful. And if you've seen my Daddy Grandpa review, once again we have a comedy with two bumbling, stupid, unfunny cops. Stop with the cops already. This is meant to be a child horror. And it ends up being a child, slapstick, tongue-in-cheek, unfunny, badly written comedy. Now I hate to keep bringing Jumanji into it, but it seems like the most obvious reference I can make. You could have, like in Jumanji, actually made the monsters generally quite scary, made them a threat. Don't nobody tell me that when that lion jumped down the stairs in Jumanji you didn't think, uh-oh. But no, the monsters, they're not scary, they're actually just kind of stupid. And again, that doesn't pay the right tribute to R.L.Stine's creations. But the saddest part, and this was going through my head for the entire movie, it just feels like a missed opportunity. In a world that we live in, of franchises and sequels, Goosebumps would have been perfect for that type of sequel and franchise treatment. It was begging for it. You know, do a movie based on each book. keep that element of tension, suspense, and, mild horror. Yeah, it's directed at kids, but you can make a child's movie, slightly scary, a la Jumanji again. You don't need to make it stupid. And if your counter-argument for that is, well, it's been too long since the books were released and the kids of the 21st century aren't gonna know Goosebumps, then who is this movie directed at? Realistically, it could have been a way to introduce a new generation to Goosebumps. Unfortunately, I don't see that the kids are gonna get that much of a kick out of it. And for the 90s kids among us, it feels like someone's taking a massive turd on our childhood. It saddens me to say this, but in conclusion, the movie completely misses the point of what Goosebumps is. I wanted to love this movie. I don't. It fails to capture any of the tension and horror that you would find in the books. And what we're left with is a throwaway bad comedy. Trying its best, like so many movies this year, to use nostalgia as its key selling point. Well, I'm sorry, if you're gonna use nostalgia, you need to be faithful to the material. Jurassic World, Star Wars, Mad Max Fury Road, that all played on the original material to masterful effect. Goosebumps, you missed the point here. I don't want to do this, but I'm gonna give Goosebumps a 2 out of 10, and if you're real Goosebumps fans, then add a 1.5 to that score. But seriously, if you are real Goosebumps fans, you're gonna be disappointed with this movie. It hasn't done your fond memories any justice. So over to you guys now. Have you seen Goosebumps? Do you agree with my review? What did you think of the movie? And what was your favourite Goosebumps novel growing up? Me personally, I love The Werewolf of Fever Swamp. Leave your thoughts and comments below, and until next time, see ya!